Hey everyone, welcome to my fitness power rankings for the 2020 Olympia. First off, I originally made a top 10 list before Adela dropped out and I realized Ryle just had a baby and couldn't compete this Olympia. So this is going to be a top 8 because I don't have time to go back and change things if I'm going to get everything out in time. One of the obstacles bodybuilding has faced is actual contests aren't necessarily the most exciting to watch. Fitness has always been the redheaded stepchild, as it's pretty thrilling and not entirely judged based on one's physique. Before I discuss my rankings, I have a couple more asterisks I want to add. I don't really understand how the contests are judged or scored. While the stunts are impressive to watch, I have no idea which are more difficult to pull off. But that doesn't mean I can't place the contestants into my ranking system and talk about their history, so I'll do my best. No pick for me for this one, as I feel like doing so would be too much of a shot in the dark.
Number 8.
In 8th place, we have Orica Tirgale. Hailing from Russia, I was surprised to see that she has been competing in pro shows since 2014. She hadn't really won any until this year, though, when she won not only the Legion Sports Fest, but also the Chicago Pro. I consider Chicago, Tampa, and New York to be the 3 biggest shows outside of the Olympia and the Arnold, and she has beaten some of the bigger names, so she's definitely one that could surprise. If I had to pick a dark horse, this would probably be it, and it should be noted that she just won the Arizona Pro a couple weeks ago, which is actually more competitive than a lot of people realize.
Number 7.
Coming in at 7th, we have Jacqueline Baker. This placing might not do her justice as she placed 4th in last year's Olympia, but there's a few returning champions and rising stars that bumped her back farther than she probably should have been. And speaking of competitors on the rise, this is one of them. She got her feet wet in 2018 and has only improved since then. The main reason she doesn't score higher in the placings is because she's only really had 1 year of placing well. And this year will probably establish whether she was last year's flash in the pan or a perennial top 5 contender. And I'm guessing it's going to be the latter.
Number 6.
Coming in at 6th place, we have Tiffany Chandler. Looking at her long history, you wouldn't initially expect her to place this high, but on closer inspection, it becomes apparent real quick. She placed top 5 at last year's Olympia and top 3 in the last 2 Arnolds. She's one of the more impressive multitaskers of the sport. If you scroll through her Instagram, you'll see that she is very devoted to her family, and fitness takes a backseat to it. But you wouldn't guess it by looking at her contest placings.
Number 5.
Rounding out the top 5 is Ariel Kader. She's probably one of the more recognizable faces of the division due to her appearance in Generation Iron 2. What's crazy to think about with her is that she turned pro over a decade ago and is still one of the youngest competitors. And her youthful energy could pay dividends in the division that requires the most of it. And it was probably a bummer for her that Adela dropped out, as an opportunity to compete against her idol faded. But Adela is still planning to return to the stage eventually, and Ariel will be waiting. This will be her 4th of many more Olympias to come.
Number 4.
Coming in at 4th place is Darian Borello. I could be wrong, but I believe she's the first and only Fitness Redcon 1 athlete so far. That says a lot right there. She was definitely one of the rising stars the last year or so. It's hard to tell if this is an off year for her, as she had to rely on points to qualify for the Olympia for the first time. Before that, she hadn't lost a pro show outside of the Olympia. These were most likely hiccups, but the mental game can be half the battle in this sport. Look for her to make a rebound this Olympia or next year, because I don't think she's done yet.
Number 3.
3rd place goes to the heir apparent Missy Truscott. I imagine many watching this are objecting and listing reasons why she should place higher, and I wouldn't disagree with them. Many feel she's the favorite going in, as she will dominate during the physique round, but whether or not that will be enough, I'm not sure. I think it's fair to assume that she will go on to win an Olympia title in her future, but this contest will be looked at many years from now in order to evaluate her legacy. She seems to be coming into her own before the last 2 fitness stars run out of steam. But boy, has she made a name for herself and created an enormous amount of momentum behind her since the last Olympia. She's one of 2 reasons why this competition is so exciting this year.
Number 2.
The second reason would be the return of four-time Olympia champion Oksana Grishina. I'm not sure if there's anything I can really add here. She is hands down the best entertainer in the IFBB with the possible exception of Kai Green. If anyone needs a refresher, she won her last 13 shows. I think the biggest question on everyone's mind is why she decided to make a comeback after going out on such a high note. Did she struggle to find something to place her energy in post-retirement? Did she have an epiphany for a groundbreaking, seminal routine? Or did she simply just miss the spotlight? I don't think we'll ever know, but in the end it doesn't really matter. Oksana is back and the fitness division just got that much more exciting.
Number 1.
Many feel the defending champion Whitney Jones isn't the favorite going into this contest, partly because she never beat Oksana and partly because Missy looks unstoppable here. But this is someone that you can never count out. Anyone that watched Generation Iron 3 knows what I'm talking about. This is a person who managed to recover from a spinal fusion in her neck, rupture her ACL, get it operated on and recover, and then go on to win the Arnold Classic and the Olympia in the same year. She definitely has an attitude you have to admire as well. In a sport full of insecurities, you wouldn't know with her as she never really detracts or tears anyone down. And she seems to do a great job at building others up. She should also be commended for not hogging the spotlight since she finally reached the top of the mountain in 2018. I think that plays a role in why her chances might be underrated going into this contest. So there you have it. I'm curious to see the direction they take this division. It seems they might want to make the physique carry more weight than it currently does, as the routine is more often than not the deciding factor in a contest. I'm not sure if that's the best route, as it seems to be what makes the division so unique, but I'm happy to let the experts make the call. On paper, this was the most exciting event going into the Olympia 2 weeks ago. Adela dropping out, though, may have dropped it down a peg or two. It is still shaping up to be one of the highlights, as it is perhaps the best intersection we'll ever get to see between the generations. There's really strong arguments to be made for each of the top 3 being favorites going in. This is probably why I'm sticking behind a scoring system, because making a call can be all but impossible in some of these. And that's all I got for this one, and as always, thanks for watching.